Welcome to Plus Talk on Plus Life, where we're all about turning positive into a plus, community coming together for life, for love, for as long as it takes. Project Angel Food. Richard Ayoub from Project Angel Food. Good to see you.
Hi, Karl.
Tell me,
that is our motto.
That's the motto, right?
For life, for love, for as long as it takes.
For anyone who's unfamiliar and has been living under a rock for the last however many years, how did Project Angel Food come to be?
Project Angel Food was created by Marianne Williamson in 1989 in response to the AIDS crisis. She had this LA Center for Living, and she was cooking meals and doing massages and doing housework for people who were sick. And it was people, cancer, all different illnesses. Then people weren't showing up to get the food. And she said, what's going on? So they said, well, Dawn and Ellen, they have AIDS. They can't get out. And she said, how are they getting fed? She was worried about them getting fed. And so they said, we don't know. She said, we've got to do something. She slept on it. She woke up the next day and said, I want to start this project called Angel Food.
In those early days of HIV and AIDS, what did receiving a meal mean to those people who were quite often alone and facing the horrors of dying of an AIDS related? What did that gesture, forget the nutrition, just that someone came to their door and did that, what did that mean?
Well, anyone with AIDS was a leper. We didn't know, how do you get it? Could you get it breathing the same air? Could you get it touching them? So anyone who worked at Project Angel Food walked through their fear. They said, these are human beings. These are people who need to be taken care of, people who should not be neglected. And so they went to their door, knocked at the door, and sometimes they would see a friend who looked like a skeleton. And sometimes that person, all they wanted was a hug because no one was touching them. So some of our wonderful volunteers would hug them and hold them.
We talk about what it meant for the person receiving the meals. What about for the people that, as you said, knocked on those doors and walked through those doors?
A lot of those people were living with HIV themselves. And they said, we're getting food, but we're healthy enough to move around a little bit. We want to help you. So it meant the world to them. And to those who were knocking on the doors, they felt like they were taking care of another human being. And a lot of them were women, a lot of women taking care of their gay brothers.
You've been helping others through the community really since you were 19. Where did this come from for you?
You know, it all comes through my mother. My mother's the one who instilled charity in me. When I was a 10-year-old kid and I complained about not having a new pair of sneakers, she took me in a car to a garbage dump in Juarez, Mexico, because I grew up in El Paso, and she made me look at the people living in cardboard shacks there. She didn't have to say anything, but she told me that I said, but how can I help all these people? As a 10-year-old kid, I always thought about how can I help all these people? And at Project Angel Food, all these years later, I'm helping all these people. You know, it's in my small part of the world, but I'm making my impact.
Well, and you're inspiring others, so many others, to do that. So, you know, for that alone, thank you. How is the spirit of what Project Angel Food was back in 1989 and 1990? How is that carried through, the spirit of the evolution to what Project Angel Food is today, do you think?
Our founder, Marianne Williamson, said food is love. When a stranger is knocking at your door and bringing you life-saving food, food that tastes delicious, and food that makes you feel better, that's love. We never forget that. We never forget that at the root of everything we do is love.
How have the meals and the services evolved really since those early days of HIV and AIDS as to where they are today? I know it's expanded now, but let's just talk about the meals themselves.
Yeah, so we started in a church, and it was a makeshift kitchen in that church. And we were cooking meals, and it was grandmothers and, people cooking delicious comfort meals, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, because people who had AIDS were wasting. And so they needed food that would put meat on their bones. Today, we know that a nutritious, medically tailored meal will help people get better. And so everything is tailored to the illness. As I said, HIV meals, if you give them a nutritious one, the viral load comes down. We have people with diabetes. They need to reduce their blood sugar level. We have a meal for that. People with congestive heart failure have to reduce their sodium. We accommodate for that. And people with kidney problems have to reduce their potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. Complicated diet. Our registered dietitians and our chefs know how to put those together.
And aside from sort of the medicinal benefits, talk to me about the effect of receiving services from Project Angel Food that can have an effect on things like adherence to medication, which we know, especially for those of us living with HIV, is crucial for us staying alive and healthy and undetectable.
So when your doctor tells you, take this pill with food, sometimes people don't have the food because 98% of our clients are living at or below the poverty level. But then when they eat their food, it triggers their memory. Oh, I gotta take my pill. So the adherence to medication is higher when they eat a medically tailored meal. They also, hospital visits are reduced. Emergency room visits are reduced. So overall, our healthcare system saves money.
I would also think that if you're eating right and have a full tummy, you're just feeling better about yourself too, on a self-esteem level, right? Which I think also then keeps you in check to, okay, I want to stay on track with my meds and I want to keep this going.
And also what we also notice is if you're eating right, you're taking your medication, you also keep up with your doctor's visits. We notice that our clients visit the doctor more than people who aren't on our program because their health is at the forefront of what they're doing.
Tell me about the scale of Project Angel Food now. As I mentioned, you've got this new state-of-the-art kitchen, but as far as manpower and the reach.
So Project Angel Food serves 2,700 people a day.
Wow.
You add that up, that's 1.5 million meals a year. That's a lot of meals. We're in the process right now of developing a brand new state-of-the-art kitchen with new innovation that's going to be able to serve 3 times as many meals, 3 times as many people, 4.5 million meals. Right now, there are people getting out of the hospital who could use a meal and could get better because of it. And we want to serve them all. And that's why we're going to do this, and that's why we're growing.
When you listen and hear the feedback from people who volunteer their time and come down there and sort of after their first experience, what do you hear and how does it make you feel?
The one common denominator is joy. They say there's so much joy in that kitchen. And I say that the kitchen is the equalizer. Whether you're a reporter, I'm a CEO, someone else is a high school student, someone else from recovery, someone else is a celebrity, they're all treated the same because the chefs don't know who you are. They just know that you're there to help, and you look like you to carry a big, bin of
potatoes or something. Right.
So they give them to you.
If people want to be part of Project Angel Food, what's the best way to go about it?
So there are several things you can do if you want to be a part. You can volunteer. We need volunteers. We have a new kitchen, temporary kitchen in Lincoln Heights. We need people to come there. And it's angelfood.org/volunteer. You can donate. We always accept donations. We're feeding a lot of people and we want to keep the food coming.
Well, and especially around this time of the year, the holidays, you don't want people going hungry at the holidays.
Absolutely not. And, I say Thanksgiving is every day at Project Angel
Yeah,
Food.
right.
Because we never stop. It's not just that Thursday, it's the Friday, and then it's a Monday, and it's all these other days. So angelfood.org/donate, you can donate. And then the third way is to amplify our message. Share it on social media. Get more people exposed to what we do, especially younger people, because I lived through this AIDS crisis, but you didn't.
Yep.
And we need you and your friends and younger than you to recognize it's not just HIV/AIDS. Imagine if you have a grandmother who has breast cancer and she didn't have family bringing her meals. How is she going to do it? She's nauseous. She needs a medically tailored meal, so she pulls out of the freezer, puts it in the oven. 6 minutes later, she has dinner.
Community coming together for life, for love, for as long as it takes. Richard Ayoub from Project Angel Food, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. I hope you have a lovely holiday season, as we call it. That is going to do it for this episode of Plus Talk. If you want more information, we will put it all up on the website. And of course, you can check the link below to get involved with Project Angel Food. Until next time, be nice to one another. Happy holidays, and follow us on social if you want at Plus Life Media. Bye-bye.